Pressure to Performance podcast. That's pressure, performance, the 3 Ps. I'm speaking with somebody today who I've known for a long time and I've admired for a long time, and is somebody who's had a tremendous journey. This year, his team has won everything in UK basketball, and he's been a leading part of that. With no further ado, as they say, let me introduce you to Deane Williams of the London Lions, 4-time UK champions. Deane, say hello.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thankful to be here. Thanks a lot for having me. Just hope I can give you some insight on, the pressures of performing, and how meeting and greeting and getting connected with like-minded people can really benefit yourself, not only for your career or your temporary careers, but for life. So I'm really excited to dive into this and get going.
Great. Thank you, Deane. Well, we're going to let you talk because we have had a chat before. I'm just amazed at this young man who I knew when he was a young man. This was a little boy. But so, Deane, if you could just give us a background about yourself, because give us the whole thing, because you've been on some kind of a journey, my friend.
Yeah, so born and raised in a small town, Chippenham, England, next to Bath and Bristol and Swindon. So not a place many people have heard of, but like a lot of other young men, during my time or even times before, I grew up playing football, the most popular sport in England. Obviously now I'm a professional basketball player, but the journey to get there, obviously didn't start playing basketball. So my father was an avid basketball fan, played in the Air Force, and he was the one that really instilled the passion for basketball in me. Although I reluctantly, played these tournaments every weekend, so on and so forth. I just wanted to play football. So my dad did a great job of opening up my eyes to other sports and other avenues of becoming a professional. So as every other kid, grew up playing club basketball, alongside other sports, but it wasn't until I was about 15 or 16 that I really started to take it seriously and understand that this is something that I could pursue. Up until that age, I was playing football. I was playing for academy teams. I was doing really well, and I think I was on the edge of probably breaking into one of the bigger academies in the UK. But as kids do, they tend to go in the opposite direction of good advice. So I chose basketball instead. My first, kind of serious competition or level, you could say, was playing at South Gloucestershire and Stroud College under head coach Andreas Kapoulas. I played there for 2 years. And in those 2 years was when I started to, get that spark for, all right, what can this become? I had great people around me that were saying, if you're going to pursue it, then just go for it. So within those 2 years, I was able to build myself up, mentally, physically, and then I ended up getting a scholarship to go to Augusta University over in the States. Got there my freshman year, was extremely shy, extremely introverted. But as the seasons go by, first, second, third, and fourth. But by my senior year, I was actually named Peach Belt Player of the Year, Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year. So that 4-year span was, kind of my launch pad, you could say, into professional basketball. And I think, without taking those chances that I did before I left to go to college, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I did my 4 years of university, studying, playing basketball. And then my first year professionally was in Iceland, actually, which is, obviously not known for basketball. It's not really known for much, but the natural beauty. First year went by, did really well, reached the finals, had a great season. And then, unfortunately, going into the second year where I'd re-signed to play in Iceland, COVID came around and we were out for about 2 to 3 months. Couldn't play any games, couldn't practice. So I was in Iceland just, with nothing to do. Luckily, the league started up again. I finished the league strong again. And then I actually got a chance to take another massive leap when I went to go second division in France, which is called Pro B. during that season, when I first arrived, I thought, oh gosh, I'm kind of out of my depth here. This is a long way away from where I started playing basketball. There's guys that have played in the biggest leagues in Europe at this point, and I'm just almost in awe for the first couple of weeks. Luckily, managed to get my head on straight, and from that point on, just kind of went full force into it. Ended up having another great year under a great coach with great teammates, and that then led me to probably my most proudest achievement in my career, and you could say highest level of basketball that I've played, which is playing for Bonn in Germany. This is my first time playing in the first league in all of Europe. So again, going into that, it's another huge step. It was quite a daunting task. Surrounded by guys that have been doing it, 4 or 5 years longer than me. It was a great experience. Honestly, one of the best experiences of my life. We were able to win the Champions League, which is the equivalent of the football Champions League. So we were basically one of the best teams in Europe, as an underdog team as well. So that was phenomenal. After that year, I was back in Germany again in Oldenburg, playing in the Champions League tournament again. That year, I actually tore my calf muscle, so I was out for 4.5 months. So again, that's another mental hurdle that I had to overcome. During that time, my son was born over the Christmas period. So it's a blessing and a curse. There's a lot that comes with it. I was able to do that.
So sorry, you pretended to hurt your calf so you could spend with your son. Was that what you did?
I wish I pretended, because the amount of treatment, the amount of therapy that I went through for that moment was it was overwhelming at times.
As a professional athlete, when you get any injury, you start thinking, when you get a serious injury, you've really got to look at what you're doing, and how fragile your career can be.
Yeah. And, with any injury, but especially personally, in my experience, it was my first injury as well. So, I thought the whole house was coming down. And then, as I said, my son was just born. So I'm not playing basketball. I'm not doing the thing that I have to do to provide. So for 4 months, I was kind of just, how would you say, a mess, I guess. But I was really fortunate and grateful enough to finish up the season. And I got an even better opportunity after that, to go play in the Italian First League. Really exciting stuff, playing in one of the best leagues in the world at this point, against some of the best competition, guys that have played in the NBA, in EuroLeague, in Eurocup, and been doing this, since they were 17 almost. Another tough situation where things didn't go my way, personally or for the team. So basically what they decided to do was to release all of the imported players and keep all the Italians. So that was me and 5 other guys that got released back onto the market. I ended up going back to Germany in the first league again, where Don and I spoke about earlier. My coach, on a good day or a bad day, it didn't really matter what I was able to do for him. It just depended on his mood almost, if I if I was going to play or so on and so forth. So as an athlete, that's extremely tough. You don't know when you're gonna, there's no consistency, I would say. There's no predictability, there's no routine, because you don't know on this day if you're going to play 30 minutes, if you're going to play 2 minutes, and you're trying to figure out why. And he has no answers for you, and you have no answers for yourself. So definitely a tough situation to be in.
Sorry to cut you, that's really important what you said there, because your mental state was being controlled externally. So depending on how your coach showed up, that impacted you. Does that make sense? You're very, very variable. I think that's one of the things we look at, is having that mental wealth that whatever's going on around you, you control it within yourself. Sorry to cut you off, but I thought it was a very important point.
No, I'll follow on from that. I think it's also very important that you try to become present in this moment now with how your state of mind is. so that you can always return to it, especially if you're in a good state of mind. If things are going well for you, you need to know what that feels like, and you need to know how you're getting to that point. Because once you come out of it, if you don't know where you were before, it's going to take you an extremely long time to get back to it, which is what happened to me. Because because up until this point, everything was going fine for me. I was doing great. I was playing great. Coaches like me, teammates like me, at least I think anyway. But everything was going fine. And when it wasn't going fine, I was like, well, why is everything not fine? Or how do I get back to fine? Because in the moment where I was doing well, I was never really present in my mental state, because I was just going through the motion. I was just coasting through because everything was going great.
Thank you, Deane.
So, during that time when I was back in Germany, me and my coach were butting heads, or whatever you want to call it. I then decided to take control of my own destiny, basically, and I just said, right, this isn't the situation for me. It's not the situation for my family. It's not the situation for my career to grow. So I removed myself from that situation for a second time during one season, and I took myself to Poland in the first division, where I finished the year well, and that 3.5 months was really a period where I began to become conscious of my mental well-being and what I was feeling when I was waking up, or going into practices, and just working on understanding myself, because I'm in a completely different situation than I was in before. So I was trying to figure out my routine, figure out what helps me to perform, or what doesn't help me. Do I have good self-talk? Do I have good imagery of myself? Am I uplifting myself in moments where I'm not performing well, or am I just beating myself down? So those 3.5 months really helped me to become more cognizant and develop a mental game almost. And after that season was over, I ended up hiring a sports psychologist, because it took me 10 months of hardship and mental challenges to understand that it's very difficult to do it alone, because especially in sports, in leadership, in positions where there's a lot of people looking at you, there's no escape.
No.
And you can turn to your family members, you can turn to friends, but what's very important is to put yourself in a position where you're surrounded by people doing the same thing, so that you can speak freely and that people can understand you. Because it's I can talk to my parents, I can talk to my wife, I can talk to my sister, but they'll never understand it, because they're not in that situation. And they can listen, but listening is only half of the problem, because you need to conversate with people who are in the same situation, so that you can understand different perspectives, and you can help one another. So yeah, at the end of that year, I got a sports psychologist, and that's what really propelled me into the next year. I got a refreshed mind. I went back into the season thinking okay, this is who I am, this is what I can bring, and if people don't like that, or if people don't appreciate that, then that's fine, that's on them. But you have to understand your value.
Brilliant. I just want to underline the things you said there about having people around you who know what you're doing, experiencing it. As well as that, is sometimes having people who have been where you want to go before, and they can say, hey, I've been there, I've been through it, I can show you the way for you, how you can get there. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the underlying purposes of Pressure to Performance. I've got to plug my event every now and again. So yeah, that event, you're going to meet people like Deane. Very unfortunately, Deane won't be there this time, might be there next year. But we've got Olympic champions, football, Premier League people. We've got, not basketball, we've got, give me the sport.
We've got rugby players.
We've got international rugby players. So we've got people. And on the other side, we've got business leaders. Brad Park's going to be there, really phenomenally successful businessman. He's sold one business already, started another one. He's the chair of the UK Continental Centre. We've got Professor Munaim Al Yacobi, AI science. We've actually got an AI agent is going to be there for the panel. So very important to have people around you who understand what you're going through, been there before, and are willing to show you the way there. So back to you, but you made a very good point, Deane.
Yeah, most definitely.
You said this
Yeah,
way.
yeah, this has got me refreshed, got my mind right, got me understanding myself, got me understanding where I was and where I've been, and how to navigate those situations. Because I'd been through those situations before where things weren't going my way and I was frustrated and so on and so forth. But in the moment, I wasn't paying attention to how I was thinking about it. So now I've got myself in a way to navigate my emotions, or how to talk to myself properly, or how to approach others, or how to ask for help. You know what I mean? So this past season was probably the most fun I've had in my whole career. Surrounded by a great bunch of group of guys, surrounded by great coaches, and just being able to be in a situation where I could be myself, where I wasn't worried about judgment or worried about performance, but I was just there, just being me, because being me is what got me to where I am.
Wow. Say that one again. Yeah.
Being me is where got me where I am.
Okay, so tell me about you. So you left Poland and you came to the UK.
Yep.
And you've had a fantastic. Tell us about this season. This is your first season with the London Lions. Is that right?
Yeah. This is my first season, playing in the UK since I left to go to university back in 2000 and what was that? 20, I believe. Wow. No, 2015. 2015. So, not only did I have a great place to come to, surrounded by great people, but it was somewhere that I was familiar, somewhere I was comfortable. So, that in itself gave me enough to all right, let's get this thing moving, let's get this thing going. My teammates were great, my coaches were great. Like I said, we won everything there is to win for a reason, not just because we were good, but also because we had great chemistry.
That was a bit quick there. We won everything there was to win. Tell us what you won. What did you win?
So during the season, we had 2 cups. We had the trophy, which is an in-season tournament, and we had a cup, which is also an in-season tournament as well. So one of those is group stages, the other one is just knockout. So obviously, a knockout, you have to win every game to win the trophy. So we managed to pull those 2 off. Then we won the regular season, which is finishing top of the table, much like the Premier League. And then, even if you finish first, you're not guaranteed to win the championship in basketball, because you have to enter the playoffs, where teams 1 through 8 basically play a round robin against each other, and the team that is better comes out on top. So we won the cup, we won the trophy, we won the regular season, and we won the championship. So,
and is it the name in front of that is British Basketball League Trophy? What are the titles of these things?
So the league is called the Super League. It's called Super League Basketball, which is the league in the UK. So we won the SLB Cup, the SLB Trophy, the SLB regular season championship, and the SLB playoff championships as well. Wow. So yeah, we're the first team in, I think, maybe 20 plus years to pull off a quadruple.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Alton Bird was on the team that did that. You know who Alton Bird is. So listen, it's fantastic. We don't want to keep people too long, but you've spoken really well about mental health to mental strength. So if you're talking to the audience now, what's the importance of an event like this for all people, sports people, business people, community members, community leaders? What are they going to get from an event like this, do you think?
Like we spoke about earlier, it's just about meeting people that are in the same situation as you and getting different perspectives. Because, even even people in the same space with you, they'll be facing different problems and they'll have different ways of navigating stuff, and they'll be able to tell you what works for them or what doesn't work for them, which is going to be completely different to what works for you or what doesn't work for you. So now you're able to kind of filter through the people and you know, get advice on, you know, what's going to work or what's not going to work. Having people that understand you like deeply, you know, not just people that are going to listen and you know, give you the occasional head nod and just, you know, kind of pass over what you're saying, but people that are going to be able to understand what you're going through and able to respond in a way that's going to, you know, give you a better insight for the future, so that you don't continue to, you know, make the same mistakes in my case, or, you know, something that's just going to benefit you down the line. So, you know, you're going to go to this event, you're going to meet a certain group of people. You're going to go to another event and you're going to meet another group of people, and you're going to have the same thing. So you're going to go and you're going to meet people that are going to have different perspectives, different points of view, you know, what works, what doesn't work. So having that circle around you where you're surrounded by like-minded people is going to, you know, rocket ship you to levels of success that you haven't experienced before, probably.
Fantastic. Listen, Deane, I know that you're in Chesterfield at the moment. On the way somewhere else. You've got to be going to a nice hotel tomorrow.
Yeah. Last one before the preseason starts. So it's my last bit of relaxing for the next 10 months.
But thank you very much, Deane. I really appreciate this. You've done a great pod. I'll get the podcast sorted out and we'll send it so
Fantastic.
you can.
Thanks so much.
Let's stay in touch.